That's how it began. Not our love story, but the resistance to it. We met on a rainy Tuesday in Boston. I was 26, teaching art at a community center. He was 28, a volunteer running a mentorship program for at-risk youth. I wasn't looking for anyone. My last relationship had ended in that quiet, exhausting kind of heartbreak. The kind that doesn't scream, but erodes you slowly. But Jamal, he had this calm energy, like someone who had already been through a storm and learned how to walk through rain without flinching. The first time we spoke, he handed me a coffee I hadn't asked for. "You look like someone who forgets to take breaks," he said and smiled. I laughed harder than I should have. It had been a long week. We started with casual talks between sessions, then longer conversations over shared meals. Our connection wasn't dramatic. It was steady, genuine, and built on the kind of trust that grows from truly seeing each other. He didn't ask to be impressive, he just was. But as our connection deepened, so did the tension around us. My family, specifically my father, never said anything outright, but the silence was louder than words. When I brought Jamal to meet them, my dad's handshake was limp. His eyes avoided Jamal's. At dinner, he directed all conversation through me. Afterward, Jamal said quietly, "I know that look. I've seen it 1,000 times. But it doesn't scare me. I just worry for you." I told him not to worry, but I was scared, not scared of him. Scared of what we'd have to fight to be together. The first real conversation with my dad about Jamal ended in shouting. He didn't call him names, but he didn't have to. "It's not about race," he said, voice tight. "It's about compatibility. You come from different worlds." "What world is that?" I asked. "The one where he volunteers to keep kids off the street? Or the one where he calls his mom every Sunday without fail?" He didn't answer. Our love kept growing quietly, in the small spaces of our days. Hands brushing while washing dishes, sleepy conversations at midnight. The warmth of understanding without needing to explain every word. 2 years in, we moved in together. 4 years in, we got married. By then, my father had returned to my life, reluctantly. He came to the wedding but didn't smile in a single photo. I remember Jamal gripping my hand tightly when we saw him in the crowd. "He showed up," he whispered. "That's more than I expected." We honeymooned in Jamaica. It was the first time I saw Jamal dance like he had no weight on him. I cried that night, not because I was sad, but because I was overwhelmed with how beautiful this life had become. Despite the noise, the looks, the resistance. 2 years later, I gave birth to our son, Elijah. The moment he was placed in my arms, I remember thinking, he is made of both of us. All the love, all the battles, all the grace. Elijah's skin was the perfect middle tone. Not mine, not Jamal's. Just his. His hair curled in tiny spirals. His eyes were soft and wide like Jamal's, but the shape of his mouth was mine. And in that moment, holding him, I realized, love creates its own palette. Not black, not white, just love. My dad came to the hospital the next day. He stood by the window for a long time, watching Elijah sleep in my arms. Then finally, he stepped closer. He didn't say much, just looked at Jamal, then at Elijah. And then, with a shaky voice, "He's beautiful." Jamal nodded. "He gets it from his mom." That was the first time my father smiled at him. It wasn't perfect after that. There were still gaps, cultural, emotional, generational. But there was effort. My father started asking about Jamal's work. He began showing up to birthdays. I even caught him once holding Elijah's tiny hand and humming a lullaby from my own childhood. But life never stays simple for long. When Elijah was 4, Jamal was pulled over driving home from work. He had a taillight out. Nothing major, but the officer kept him outside the car for almost an hour, questioned him like he was a suspect. Jamal came home quiet that night. He sat at the kitchen table and stared into his hands. "I'm a dad now," he said. "I can't just absorb this like I used to. What if Elijah had been in the car?" We cried together that night. Not because we were surprised, but because we were exhausted. That's the thing people don't understand when they say, Race doesn't matter. It shouldn't, but it does. Not in our home, but out there. And yet, despite everything, the stares, the assumptions, the exhaustion, we kept choosing each other, not just out of love, out of defiance, hope, and clarity. When Elijah turned 7, he asked me why people sometimes stared at us at the grocery store. I paused, then said, because they see something they don't understand. And sometimes people stare at what they don't understand instead of just smiling. He thought about that for a second. Then, but we smile at them. So maybe they'll learn. Out of the mouths of children. Now Elijah's 11. He draws pictures of us holding hands. Always uses 2 shades of brown and peach, side by side. He doesn't divide us by color. He blends us like watercolors bleeding together on a page. And that's what I wish the world could learn. That love isn't colorblind. It sees color and loves harder because of it. It's not about pretending differences don't exist. It's about knowing they do and choosing each other anyway. Love doesn't erase color. It honors it. It carries it. It grows through it. And when you love across boundaries, you don't ignore the world. You help reshape it. We didn't set out to prove anything. We just fell in love. And if that love challenged someone's beliefs, then maybe they needed to be challenged.